Haribol to all my brothers and my sisters, and welcome back to Astral Motivation. Today, we're going to be talking about what is Kali Yuga. We're going to go deep into the Vedas and the ancient scriptures of the Vedic times to try to understand what is Kali Yuga, which is the era that we're currently experiencing in the collective. If you're new to the channel, welcome to Astral Motivation. My name is Vinodini Dasi. I am a Vedic astrologer and also Dharma teacher. So if you're a seeker of timeless truth and if you are seeking true knowledge, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss any of the nectar. Alrighty guys, let's see and let's understand what does Kali Yuga mean for all of us.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri.
Alrighty, everybody. And first and foremost, I just want to say thank you to all my members. And if you want to become a member today, come along. We have amazing secret knowledge in our members only, where you are going to be able to learn Vedic astrology and so much more. Alrighty, guys. So let's talk about what is Kali Yuga. So first and foremost, I want to pull out the information here for you guys. Here we go. Alrighty, guys. So first and foremost, let's see what does it mean to be in Kali Yuga. Navigating the cycles of time, understanding Kali Yuga and the four yugas and how it influences our society, guys. I am so excited to tell you more about this very powerful one. Now, let's first understand that this energy of the yugas is pretty much the cycles of time and how it is that we measure time, especially in the Vedas. So in the Vedas, they understood that time wasn't linear, that time is not something that has a beginning and then it has an end and then it's done. This may happen in the material world. Yes, we have time in the material world, but in reality, time is more of a cyclical energy. It's not a linear energy. And so when we understand this, that in ancient knowledge, they actually understood time to be in a circular motion, in a cyclical motion, not in a linear motion. This is how we're able to understand time. So first we need to understand this, that we're not going to understand time through a linear model, but more through a circular model, a cyclical model, so that we're able to understand what the yugas really are. So each yuga represents a distinct era. Okay? And each era will have a unique characteristic that influences human behavior and societal development at the same time. So when we understand these cycles, it helps us to grasp the cosmic rhythm of existence and in our place within it. It is important to understand where we are in time so that we can understand the nature of the time that we are currently living in. And this is why the yugas are explained in the Vedic scriptures, so that we're able to truly understand where we are in time and how the environment changes and what is it that and how is it that we can accommodate ourselves to the environment. So what are yugas? Yugas are four distinct ages in the Vedic cosmology. We have Satya Yuga, we have Tetra Yuga, we have Dwarpa Yuga, and we have Kali Yuga. That is the one that we're going to be learning about today. We're going to learn about all of them, but Kali Yuga is the era that we're currently in, and this is why we need to understand what is Kali Yuga. So each yuga reflects a gradual decline in virtue and spirituality. This is that cyclical energy once again. There's a time where there's a peak, and then there's a time where there's a low, and then it comes back up again. So it is showing the decline of virtue and spirituality and influencing the moral fabric of society. Now together they form that cyclical pattern. Together the Satya, Tetra, Dwarpa, and Kali Yuga are able to create this cycle as well, which shapes human experience. Now, the 4 seasons of the solar system. So just as we in this planet Earth, in this Bhumi, that's the name of planet Earth, Bhumi, and how it is that we have seasons. We have spring, we have summer, fall, and winter. So we all experience these seasons. We have the experience of when everything is blooming in the spring, when it is at the highest peak of heat in summer, when everything starts to die down and decline in the fall, literally the fall. And then the winter is when everything becomes more stagnant, more still, and it is kind of in that sort of resting, stagnant phase before it is sprung back again with the spring. So our planet Earth also experiences these 4 seasons, and so does our solar system as a whole. So the Kali Yugas, the Yugas, are actually like the seasons of our solar system, our galaxy. Our galaxy is also moving through the constellations, through these eras. So this is the reason why we can also compare the 4 yugas with the 4 seasons that we experience here on Earth, which also our solar system experiences. You can see Satya Yuga as being the summer, then when it starts falling is more of the Dwarpa Yuga, and the decline starts going all the way into Kali Yuga, which is the winter of our solar system. Now, here we can also understand how the yugas are also attached to the gunas. So, what is a guna? The guna, we have 3 gunas, and these gunas are the material modes of nature. So, in this material world, not in the spiritual world, in this material world of material existence, in this gross material world, we are always ruled by 3 gunas. These 3 gunas are the modes of nature, and these 3 gunas are the mode of nature of Satya, which is the mode of goodness. Then we have the mode of Rajas, which is the mode of passion. And then we have the mode of Tamas, which is the mode of ignorance. We, as human beings in this planet Earth, we're always bouncing off from these 3 gunas. And the same thing happens with the yugas. Okay? So the yugas are also implemented within the gunas. So in Satya Yuga, for example, right here, we only have Satya. There is not even Rajas, there is not even Tamas. Everything is light, everything is high vibration, everything is 100% light. Then when it goes into Tetra Yuga, this is when we start combining the Satya with Rajas and Tamas. And this is when we start declining. We lose 25% of that virtue, and only 75% of the population is in the light, fully in virtue. Then we go into Dwarpa Yuga. Dwarpa Yuga, which was 5,000 years ago, that was the end of Dwarpa Yuga. We had more of the Rajas as the main one, Tamas and Satya as the last one. This is when the light becomes more covered with war, power, and this degradation of consciousness. And now we have 50-50, where 50% of the population is in the light and 50% of the population is in the dark of ignorance. And then we go into Kali Yuga, which is where we are right now. And it is ruled mainly by Tamas, Raja, Sattva. And this is where 75% of the population is in the darkness, and only 25% of the population is in the light. Tamas being the mode of ignorance, it is what rules mostly Kali Yuga. Rajas being the mode of passion, it is what rules mostly Dwarpa Yuga. And then there was a mixture in Tetra, and then Satya Yuga only had Sattva. Very, very interesting things here, and how it correlates with the gunas as well. Then we have, okay, so what yuga are we on? We are currently in Kali Yuga, and you can see it in the model right here. We can also see that this is Satya Yuga, the golden age, the golden era, pretty much this whole section here. And then we go into the Tetra Yuga, which is the silver, and then the bronze age is Dwarpa, and then we have here the Kali Yuga. So you guys have heard how we have been saying that we're entering the age of Aquarius, right? And that back before the age of Aquarius was the age of Pisces, and how that age of Pisces is the correlation with Jesus Christ. That's the reason why it's the two fishes and why Jesus had all the symbology with the energies of the fish of Pisces. So that was the last time. And if we see right here, the Piscean era. So now we're going to enter into the Aquarius era. And the Aquarius era is in the energies of Kali Yuga. So we are now just finished Dwarpa Yuga 5,000 years ago, and now we are entering into Kali Yuga. So this is something that I don't have to convince anybody of. Kali Yuga is a time of hypocrisy, quarrel, and where only 25% of the population is in the light. The rest of them is really, really intense. Another thing interesting about the different yugas here is that literally each yuga had different energies with the demons and the devas, the holy energy and the evil energy. So the asuras, which are the demons back in Satya Yuga lived in other galaxies. Then in Titra Yuga, they lived in other planets. And then in Dwarpa Yuga, they lived in other continents, but here, very close. And then in Kali Yuga, it's when they're the closest. The demons reside within the hearts of everybody. So here, the spiritual warfare is not in a galactic situation, in a planetary situation, or a continental situation. It is within us that we are on a daily basis choosing what is right instead of what is wrong. That typical devil and angel on the shoulder is literally Kali Yuga, because this is the era of immense hypocrisy, of quarrel, of pain, of suffering, and of also irreligion, where there's no morals and religion is at its lowest. So let's go deeper into understanding each individual yuga. So first we have Kali Yuga. Let's talk about Kali Yuga, which is the yuga that we are currently in. And this yuga is powerful. It's intense. It literally takes 436,000 years for Kali Yuga to totally be ending. Okay? Kali Yuga is the dark age. It is the current age that we're living in, which is characterized by dissolution of values, okay, and rampant materialism. And that's something that I don't have to convince you of. We can all turn on any social media, any TV, and we can see that the whole thing that we're valuing is materialism. It is lust. We are all being run by our genitalia. All are trying to find out how to exploit each other, how to exploit the earth. This is just a time of immense dissolution of values. It is just quarreling everywhere. We're on the verge of genocide and World War III at this moment. So this is a very intense time where what happens is that during Kali Yuga, people neglect their spirituality. Most of the people become atheist and irreligious. And so because of this, understanding Kali Yuga can help us to navigate the challenges that we find in ourselves with our inner peace on a daily basis. Because we may ask ourselves, why is the world so crazy? We may be watching TV and saying like, is anybody seeing that this just doesn't make sense? Like, is there any coherence or common sense in the world anymore? And this is the reason why, because it's Kali Yuga. It's just a degraded time. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised every single time you open the TV, the news, and find that there's just things are just getting crazier and crazier and more degraded and more degraded. It is just the nature of Kali Yuga. So know this. We are 5,000 years into Kali Yuga, and there's still the overall time of Kali Yuga is 436,000 years. Yes, we're talking, this is galactic energy, okay? This is the galactic light years. Then we have Satya Yuga, which is this is the golden age. This is what everybody deep down inside in our soul, we know that we can maybe one day reach. And yes, we can reach it when we are in Satya Yuga. We will be able to reach this golden age, this utopia. Because in Satya Yuga, it's the golden time where everything that ruled was just Satya Guna. It was all goodness. Everybody was righteous. Everybody loved God. Everybody did the right thing. No, but there was no, quarreling. There was no fights. There was no hypocrisy. Everybody did the right thing. And this represents the time of truth, of righteousness, and spiritual enlightenment. This was the main focus. And what's also interesting is that in Satya Yuga, people actually lived hundreds of thousands of years. Yes, hundreds of thousands of years. They were bigger. They were bigger people. That's why we find these skeletons of giants. They're people from Satya Yuga. Okay. If we go back to Kali Yuga, in Kali Yuga, the human being is ill and the human being doesn't live more than 100 years old. This is part of the degradation of Kali Yuga, and we are also shorter and more dumb in a way or another because our consciousness are so degraded. So in Satya Yuga, our consciousness is like using the 100% of your brain. How everybody says we only use a little bit of our brain. Yes, we're Kali Yugans. But if we were in Satya Yuga, we would be able to use telepathy, have cities, have these mental powers. Everything will be a utopia. We will use technology in the right ways. We will do everything in the right ways. And this is when everything is just an incredible utopia and you live for hundreds of thousands of years. Then there's Tetra and Dwarpa Yuga, and this is when it starts declining. Okay, and Tetra and Dwarpa Yuga marks the transition from the purity of Satya Yuga to the decline, the complete decline of Kali Yuga. These ages witness the emerging of irreligion, immorality, and societal structures just start getting overshadowed by challenges, and it just starts getting degraded in the modern world. So each yuga is teaching us a lesson, and also each yuga you have to practice different spiritual practices to get to enlightenment, and you also live different amounts of years. In Tetra Yuga, you live up to still thousands of years, and then in Dwarpa Yuga, you live for only 1,000 years. So in Tetra, you live for 10,000s of years, and for Dwarpa Yuga, you live for thousands of years. Satya is for hundreds of thousands of years. And that's why sometimes we also find in the Bible, like the oldest people who were closer to Dwarpa Yuga lived for hundreds of years, maybe like 200, 300, 400 years old, 600, I've heard maybe. So this is because it was people from more Dwarpa Yuga where they actually lived for way longer. Now, these two is the gradation. And in these two, in all of these different yugas, you will have to practice different spiritual practices to ascend. In Satya Yuga, for example, this is where you will have to do immense high penance to be able to arise in spiritual matters. So you will have to go into a cave in the Himalayas for thousands of years into meditation, doing immense austerities, and that's how you get enlightenment. So that was Satya Yuga. Then, when it came to Tetra Yuga, then it became the perfection of ritual. It became in Dwarpa and Tetra Yuga became the perfection of ritual and worship. And this is how you were able to actually ascend and get to the next level. So this is the most important. And then in Kali Yuga, the way that we become enlightened is actually very simple. All we have to do is chant the names of the Lord in congregational Harinam Sankirtan. So we all come together to sing Sankirtan. You chant the names of the Lord in your japa, and you are saved. This is the easiest, even though this is the worst era and the worst era to be in, this is actually the era where you can ascend spiritually the easiest and the fastest. It's just that we're extremely lower in intelligence and consciousness. So the idea is, stay focused. All you have to do is stay focused and committed to your spiritual practice and to your Harinam, and you'll be able to ascend. So each one has their different ways of ascending in spirituality. So yugas and the modern society, the influence of yugas is evident in today's society, as we mentioned. I don't have to convince you guys. You guys can literally just turn on the TV and see how disastrous the world is becoming. So, as we navigate the complexities of Kali Yuga, we face the challenges of environmental degradation. So, that's the reason why we see planet Earth, Mother Bhumi, going through so much pain right now. Also, the fact that human beings are not at their highest moral value. Therefore, they are also exploiting each other and exploiting the earth and exploiting everything. It just becomes about exploitation. Kali Yuga is about who's the best exploiter, who's the one who exploited the most. And so because of this, everything gets degraded. There's less protection to women. Women also become degraded. Society becomes degraded. There's sexual degradation. There's immorality. More just it is only in Kali Yuga that you will hear such thing as pedophilia, bestiality, and all these things. This is also the era where everybody's eating meat. Back in Satya Yuga, everybody was vegetarian. There was no need to eat meat. In Kali Yuga, the tamas, which is the mode of ignorance, becomes so strong in all of us that we end up consuming a lot of ignorant foods like alcohol and like meat. So this is the reason why the world is running the way that it is right now. And why I want to mention this is so that you can take it off your back to want to save the world. There's no need. Save yourself. Do your own personal spiritual practice, because this world is just going to get even more degraded. And through our time, we're going to get deeper and deeper into Kali Yuga, into degradation of the world. I mean, eventually we'll get degraded to the point that humans will no longer be humans. They will be human machines. And then they will lose complete humanity and they'll just become machines. So it is a time of immense degradation. And I just want to bring this point up of the yugas so that you don't feel responsible for the situations of the world. This is just the nature of this era. It's the nature of this Kali Yuga. So the lessons from the yugas is that each yuga imparts crucial lessons about human experience. From the virtues of Satya Yuga to the trials of Kali Yuga, we learn the importance of balance, compassion, and self-awareness. Embracing these teachings can guide us towards a more fulfilling life by understanding that these are just the natures of the environment and understanding what the environment also needs from us. It needs that we practice our spiritual practices during this time. As a Kali Yugan, practice your Harinam, read ancient scripture, find a bona fide guru, and start your spiritual practice. Learning to play an instrument and sing for the Lord is what's going to save us all in this era. Don't try to save everybody. Don't try to save the planet. Don't try to change the world. Like, there's no way of changing the world. This is just the era that we're in. Change yourself. The change that you want to see in the world, do it within you. Because the demon that we need to fight is not just out there, it's literally inside of us every single day. That we choose to do the right thing, that we choose to do the virtuous thing, and that we don't fall into just being another ignorant Kali Yuga in this era. The energies of this ignorance is so dense that it could easily drag us there. We need to take an effort. We need to make an effort for our spiritual practices. And that will be the way that we're going to be able to really ascend and make the best out of our lives. So, just for the conclusion, embracing the cycles, understanding the yugas helps us to appreciate the cyclical nature. It helps us to understand where we are in time, in existence. And by learning from the past, recognizing the patterns of our lives, we can navigate challenges in Kali Yuga and aspire for a more beautiful future. And really, the transformation and the transition comes with our spiritual practices. So that is the information that I wanted to bring to you guys today so that we can understand more about the energies of Kali Yuga, which is a very predominant energy that we are experiencing at this time. Thank you guys so much. I hope that you guys like this information. Sending everybody so much love and light. And thank you so much for the likes, the comments. Let me know what you think about Kali Yuga. Let me know what you think about the yugas. Let me know what you think. And let's have a philosophical discussion here. I read all your comments and I truly, truly appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much and have a beautiful time. Make sure to subscribe. Haribol!